Well, this is my real first video in my garden in 2025. Can't believe I'm even saying that number. I feel so old. Anyways, it's January 14th, and it has been 1 year and 1 day since I started this channel, and a lot has happened in this year. And so let's go look at what happened and where it's going. So last year we had an excavating company come in and clean up this whole area. It was full of red twig dogwood that had gone crazy. You couldn't even walk in there. It was a solid mat of dogwood. And to be honest, I would never plant that in my garden again. I mean, if it goes unchecked, it can just take over probably a good city-sized lot. So this is the secret garden. And this is the entrance from the house side. I had to clean the lens off because there was a snow flake on it. Anyway, so this is the entrance. I've got two cedars. This one seems to be quite thin. And this one's doing well. So we're going to keep an eye on this one. So anyways, our plans this year is to get some DeWitt Sunbelt fabric, landscape fabric, and spread it out all in the center. And hopefully we'll be able to afford some pea gravel to walk on and to keep the weeds out. Here is a hydrangea, and at the moment I can't remember the name, but anyways, I'll put it up on the screen. These were in pots. I think they're Quickfire Fab now that I'm thinking of it. Anyways, these were in pots, and we have two of them, so we've spaced them out, and they'll grow up nice and big. And the root ball was huge. It was incredible. And I didn't film that getting planted because it took hours to dig the holes. Anyways, you can't really see anything. We found that when they finished excavating, there was this huge rock, and I think it's granite. So we put out some sunflower seeds for the birds. There's a whole bunch of spring bulbs planted, and we've used cardboard and put mulch on top. This is the newest section that we did in the fall. So there's nothing planting under here, but the planting starts in here. It looks like the deer have been getting into the wintergreen, starting to eat it. Anyways, so we're just planning out the trees that we're going to plant next year. Oh, there's the chickadees. It's a busy spot, but the deer already broke one of my feeders, so I'm going to have to try and find a deer-proof feeder, if that's even possible. But anyways, there are other videos of us planting more plants in here. And here's the exit to this side. And so we've come in and moved, well, we moved this. This is a Rose of Sharon. There's another one over there. There's another one over there. And we've moved them out of the garden in front of the house because they're getting too big for there. So we planted a European birch, and we're going to be planting more evergreens around the outside edge coming around this way. We want to make it a real private place that we can come and sit and enjoy nature. What am I thinking? I'm thinking cedar, and I really want to get some of that rosy glow barberry to make an outside hedge around the whole outside. I think that would be really nice. And we did transplant a few evergreens this fall. So anyways, that's the recap of the secret garden, and hopefully we can get that DeWitt fabric in there and some of the pea gravel and some benches to kind of button that up. But it'll never be done because I'll always be adding to it. When we had the landscaping company and they dug a swale a bit deeper than we had thought, but anyways, it allowed us to put a nice little bridge in here, and we planted a maple here. And then flanking the bridge on the far side, we put in two spruce trees. And I'm really excited that this will be like a magical entrance into the back space. I don't know. We'll see if it's magical or not, but I hope I live long enough to see them grow up nice and tall. So these are our plans for next year, or I guess this year. We're going to be cleaning this area out. We've been working away at burning some of the wood. And we're going to be moving our beehives from there over to here. And we want to just maintain them at 6 hives. I can't really physically do anymore. They're so heavy. And I can't do it myself. And so I have my husband helping me. But we've got a lot of work in cleaning this area up and flattening out the ground and then getting the hives moved over. Yeah, it's a lot of work. So an update from last year's grading. Where it's dark green, you can see this was all trees, like there. So he cleaned them all out, and we've gained probably 30 feet, and it goes up. And we grassed it with a really nice grass mix. I guess it was a pasture mix. We got it at the local feed store, and it filled in great. We have no watering system. There's no irrigation up here, so it just has to do it on its own. And we've come along and we've been planting little trees, like really little trees. And we have some trees on order that we got through a really good discount from a member of our garden club. So I've got a catalpa tree coming, a harlequin maple. What else? 2 David Austin roses. Oh, and there's one other tree. I can't remember. Anyways, you'll see a video about that if you continue watching my channel. Yeah. So it'll be nice to get this area cleaned up. I'd prefer my bees not out in the open so much anymore. I need them moved over. And then the plan was last year that we were going to put in a labyrinth. And we figured it out. And it would need about 150 feet of width. And so I was going to do it with birch trees on the outside and then smaller shrubs and stuff on the inside. And that's not going to happen. It's just too big. But anyways, this rock was supposed to be in the center. And we still might put a labyrinth in. But it will be with maybe grasses and perennials, and it won't need so much room. But this was supposed to be in the center of the labyrinth, but it just isn't going to work. Now, we do have lots of room, so we may move the rock over. Once the bees are out, we may move the rock over and then set it out in here somewhere. I mean, the grapes aren't going anywhere. They're there. But yeah. So this all plans, whether it comes to fruition or not is another thing. So here is the meadow that we installed last well, I guess really a year ago, the fall, and then in the spring, we added in the plants. And it started right here. And it was this tiny strip that went up there. You can see that it's much more mature. And then from that stick, right there, over to this one, we added more. And then this fall, I got to moving plants and making ideas for simplifying some garden beds. And we got planting out here. And I think it's got to be at least 10 more feet wide. And I moved my sculpture that I've had for 30 years out here, and I just love her. Yeah, so I think you'll be surprised if you follow along of how much we actually put in this new area and added way more bulbs. We planted tons of alliums and irises and daffodils. So this is going to be decked out. And I think it's kind of cool. I really like this style of gardening. You can kind of see the shape that it is in. Yeah. I was hoping that this fall I would come in and mow it all down and tidy up the plants from last year, but really in a meadow, nothing gets mowed down. So I'm leaving it to do its thing. And this is it. Walking down the pathway. Now we have planted some spruce and some white birch, but they're so tiny. And I don't even know if they're going to take, but what the heck. We can try it. There are birch trees planted in there, and I'm hoping that they take hold. It may take a couple of years. This soil is so heavy with clay that it does seem to take a few years for plants to get going. But what I really like is how the grasses just catch the sunlight and really shine. So I think I'm going to add more this spring of the grasses. Those ones are, I think, called Indian Summer. They're a miscanthus, and they are beautiful. They turn an orangey reddish color in the fall. And this area is just up from Floral Meadow, and it's sort of like a little add-on. And I put in some of the miscanthus grass and a lot of black-eyed Susans that I started from seed. So I'm hoping that by leaving the seed pods up, it's feeding the birds and they will reseed everywhere. And I am definitely going to start these from seed again and add more to that area because they bloomed all summer long. Now we do have a couple of Asian pears up here, and we have to protect them from the deer because the deer are really heavy and they're just eating everything. And another thing I had the excavator do was go through here and clean it up. And I've made a pathway and I cut it with the lawnmower. And my husband came home with a bunch of little trees that he found at the side of the road. And they're little evergreens. Some are doing well and some aren't, but it'll be like a little private walkway going up here. That is a self-planted elderberry bush, and we have come along and made cuttings and put them all along in that section because they like wet area, and it's wet down there. So this pathway comes up by the willow tree, and then it comes up into the backyard. And we do have an Austrian pine in here and a couple more spruce, and I'm not really sure the genus of those ones, but eventually it'll become kind of like a secret garden. And then unfortunately last year our beautiful blue spruce blew over, and we staked it up and it blew over again, and look at it, it's trying to grow up. So the root kind of went like this under, and it came out straight, but then the roots just went under and it will never stand up straight and it won't be strong. So we're hoping that it starts growing up straight. I mean, it's an experiment. I don't want to cut it off because it's living, and there were birds nesting in it last year. And then we have a bunch of cleanup here under the beech tree and the oak tree. This was all brambles, and it was blackberries, but they were such seedy and really tiny blackberries. So we're going to get in here in the spring and get this cleaned up. They were just overtaking the lawn. And this blue spruce I got at Walmart 10 years ago. And it hasn't really grown very much, but it's finally starting to look like a blue spruce. And it's so misshapen, but it doesn't really matter. It's not like a front yard tree, it's in the back. And I just love the blue. And on the list this year is for me to take this grapevine out. It produces terribly sour black grapes. It's only good for the birds, and I want to have this area so I can do something that I want. Let's just marvel at this tree. I got it when it was about 10 inches tall, and it's been in there about 7 years. And it's way over my head. I'm 5'6", and it's probably 2 or 3 of me. And here's a winter view of our privacy hedge of the grasses. And yeah, some does fall apart and it gets a bit messy, but it's doing its job. It's not an evergreen, but it acts like an evergreen. And it gives really nice privacy. And it's beautiful. Look at the height of that one. That's the porcupine, not porcupine, the zebra grass. And that's quite tall. In the fall of 2023, we've got some little some saplings and planted them. We did oak and maple, so we did every other. And they did well last year. I mean, they took, none died, which is a big thing. And hoping that one day they'll be nice big trees. And then the same year we transplanted this Austrian pine. It was doing well where it was, so we put it in here and it seems to be doing well. And it will get as big as those ones over there at the neighbor's house. The last two areas I want to touch on is this area here, and it has got my Annabelle hydrangeas along the top row. And so what we're going to do is we're going to kill off the grass with cardboard and mulch, and then plant this hill up with Annabelles and Incredibles mixed together, and it will help me not having to cut the grass on this hill, and it will just actually be so beautiful. I think hydrangeas are one of my favorite shrubs. This is the last area that we're going to be updating next year. The poles are in for snow, so they don't push any big snowbanks over here. So what we did in the fall is we dug out as many perennials as we could find, and what took about 25 minutes to dig out took us over 3 hours to plant, because I'm like, oh, let's just spread them apart and put them up in the floral meadow, and that took 3 hours. Anyways, the only plant that's staying is this hydrangea, and this is well, it's been in here 3 years and it's finally putting on some growth. But anyways, whatever comes up this spring, like I have bulbs, and I'm sure there's more plants that we missed. They'll be coming out, and then we will be tarping this, or not tarping it, putting cardboard on, or we might use some of that DeWitt fabric, just put it on, and then plant some evergreens, some mini evergreens. I'd like some ball shapes, and I'd like some triangle shapes, and I think that'll just do well here. And that is staying, that hydrangea is staying, and everything else is going, and I want this as low maintenance as I can. So we'll see how that goes, but that for sure is going to happen, and so is the secret garden. And as we approach the house, I'm going to show you what I bought. I was at the pet store with my daughter, and across was Home Depot. And it was after Christmas, and I could see that they had these plants still there. And so I went in and I said, how much are these plants? And they were 90% off. I got each one of these for $5 each. These are Berta spruce. That's what they are. And they're quite big for growth. They're probably 2.5, 3 feet tall. One of them for sure is going in that driveway garden. And then I had been saying, oh, I'd like some hollies. Well, don't they have hollies? They were 90% off, and I'm like, I'll take those two. There's the last two, $3 each. And then these are the Grinch trees. Now I've got them all hiding in the front here, and that's just so they're not blown over in the wind, and the bushes will keep them good. Anyways, $4 each. So I took off all the wire and that little ball on the end, and they will come up, but I'm not too worried about it right now. They've fluffed out, which is great, because they were all tightly tied and wired so that they were bendable. And one of those is going in that number sign garden. And I forgot about my blue spruce. But they're not going in the number sign garden because they'll get too big. Anyways, thanks for following along. Hopefully this gives you an update on what's going on this year, and hopefully we can get them all accomplished. I mean, I set these lofty goals and my body says, you're not doing that, Michelle. You're crazy. Anyways, hope to see you in the next video. Have a nice day. Bye.